If you enjoy our forbidden stories, then subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Let's go. I never imagined that at 47, my life would take such an unexpected and deeply revealing turn. By this point, I thought I'd already experienced everything surprising. The joys and pains of marriage, the comfortably predictable Saturday afternoons, the increasingly quiet birthdays, and the love that, while steady, no longer surprised. But some curves don't come on the asphalt. They come in the fine print of ordinary days. And this one, I took with my heart racing. My name is Marcia, and this is the story I thought I'd never have the courage to tell. But here I am, not just telling it, but hoping that, on the other side of this screen, someone understands, or at least allows themselves to feel what I felt: fear, desire, vertigo, and freedom. It all began on an ordinary Saturday afternoon, the kind where the light streams through the kitchen window like an invitation to laziness, to coffee and cake, to silence shared with the sound of a spoon stirring batter. I was right in the middle of it, between flour and yeast, deciding whether to use vanilla or lemon extract, when Claudio walked into the kitchen. My husband of 23 years. I know every wrinkle on that face like someone reading an old map. But that day, his smile was different. It was rehearsed, but sincere. A spark in his eyes I hadn't seen since our first months together. And that spark, I confess, scared me more than it intrigued me. "Marcia," he started, his voice slightly hoarse. "Have you ever thought about trying something different?" "Different?" I furrowed my brow and kept stirring the batter. "Different how? Switching to decaf coffee?" He laughed, and the laugh came with a slight flush on his cheeks. A 50-year-old man, shy like a teenager. And then he said carefully, like someone releasing a bird unsure if it'll fly or peck, "A throuple. The two of us. And Rogerio." The spoon dropped into the bowl. Plop. We stood there in silence for a few seconds that felt like minutes. The word hung in the air like smoke. Throuple. Its echo bounced off the kitchen tiles, ricocheting between the jars and pots. "Rogerio?" I repeated. But it wasn't a question. It was more of a stunned confirmation. Yes, Rogerio. The neighbor from apartment 302. Widowed just over a year ago. Fit for his age. Eyes of someone who's cried and now smiles cautiously. Always polite, always helpful. And now, apparently, interested in something more complex. In that moment, I felt a mix of emotions hard to name. A shock with the taste of strong wine. A fear dulled by curiosity. A chill in my stomach. And another, lower down. And still, I couldn't bring myself to say no. Claudio took my hand, the one still dusted with flour between the fingers. "It's not cheating, Marcia. It's an experience. Something we can live through together, if you want." That night, I didn't sleep. I lay next to him, listening to his deep breathing, and wondering, who are we now? What does it mean to open this door? Would it be the start of something? Or the end? During the week, everything around me seemed charged with double meaning. I saw Rogerio on the stairs, and I felt his gaze sweep over me like a warm breeze before a storm. His good morning carried a different weight. A good morning with ellipses. I started noticing small details. The way he ran his hand through his hair, how he looked into your eyes before smiling. And I realized, with a subtle shock, that I was different too. Something in me had been awakened, or maybe set free. By Friday, we had a dinner planned, at our place. Shrimp risotto, my choice. A dish that requires care, time, attention, like everything that would come next. I wore a red dress I hadn't worn in years. Light fabric, modest neckline, but snug enough to remind me that my body still had stories to tell. When Claudio saw me, he said simply, "You look beautiful," and something in his eyes made me believe it. Rogerio arrived with a bottle of white wine and a smile that almost hid his nervousness. The tension was there, pulsing in the dining room among the silverware, in the way he adjusted his shirt cuffs, in how Claudio greeted him with a handshake that lingered too long. It was as if we all knew this wasn't just dinner. The conversation started out mundane. The building manager, the condo fee hike, the weather forecast. But there were pauses, glances that lingered too long. And when the wine began to loosen our restraints, the silences between sentences became fertile ground for suggestion. "That dress of yours. It's inviting the air to dance," Rogerio said, his voice low, almost a whisper. I swallowed hard. I laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. I knew what he meant. And for the first time, I let myself lean into the suggestion. I looked at Claudio. He just smiled, like someone turning the key one last time before opening the cage. "It's your call tonight, love," he said. "We'll follow your lead." That night, I was a boat. A small boat, yes, but one that chose to set sail without a compass. And they were the tides. The touch was gentle at first, like reading a forbidden book for the first time, running your fingers over the words, afraid of smudging the ink. The kisses came like a muffled storm, wet, warm, full of restrained urgency. My skin felt electric, every inch awakening under the combined attention of two men who, in different ways, desired me. One through time, the other through novelty. Both through courage. There was a moment, and this moment is etched like a flash in the dark, when I found myself between them, eyes closed, feeling more than understanding. And I thought, can I handle this? Will this boat sink? That's when I heard Claudio, his voice calm, say, "Relax, love. Tonight you're the one steering." And I sailed. The night became a timeless cycle. The wine, the laughter, the touches, everything blurred together. A new kind of pleasure, not just physical. It was the feeling of breaking through an invisible wall, and discovering that, on the other side, there wasn't destruction, but a hidden garden. In the end, we were sprawled on the couch, exhausted, happy, silent. And there, between them, with my legs tangled and my heart racing, I said, "Boys, you served the sausage early, but I ate like there was no tomorrow." They laughed, and in that laughter, I realized what we'd shared wasn't just madness. It was freedom with affection, desire with permission, love with elasticity. The next morning, the sun flooded the living room with an almost brazen audacity. I made coffee as usual, but with a lightness in my step I hadn't felt in years. Claudio hugged me from behind, like he used to in the old days, and said only, "Enjoy the cruise? We can do it again. I don't know if we'll do it again. I don't know if that moment was one of a kind or the first of many, but I know that at 47, I discovered the sea still calls to me, and that the fear of getting wet is smaller than the pleasure of diving in." Today, I write this with my heart racing. And if you're out there, reading this and thinking it's fiction, well, give it a like. Maybe I'll tell you about our rafting trip next.